Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Sam Quattro.
Hello.
Today, Sam and I will be discussing the 2016 Oscar Best Animated Feature category.
Woo.
The Oscars are finally coming up this week on a Sunday. If you're listening to this after they were on Sunday. And here on the Overly Animated Podcast, we have podcasted on all 5 nominees. Hooray.
Not on purpose. Well, some of them on purpose.
The last 3 were on purpose. The first 2 were incidental. We covered them anyway. So if you want to check out our coverage for any specific movie, you can Google the movie name and then Overly Animated Podcast. I think that'd be the fastest way. So the Inside Out was our first ever podcast here at the Overly Animated Podcast. And Marnie, when Marnie was there, is also a very early one. The others are more recent. And Sam and I have seen all 5 of them each, even though I did a podcast with Mel on Inside Out and also with Delaney on Marnie.
I was on the Marnie
Yeah,
one.
also with Delaney on Marnie. And we will be discussing all 5 of them, their chances for this category, what this category means overall. This is probably the most extensive coverage you will find anywhere on the internet about the 2016 Oscar Best Animated Feature category.
Yeah, who cares about like Best Picture, like Best Actor?
This is the real category, guys. This is the one that you want to watch. The one that's going to come in the boring middle of the ceremony part, probably.
It usually comes in like, it's like one of the first awards.
So, early half. Presented by some celebrity that doesn't care about animated films, right? Like, it's going to be great.
I'm not even going to get to watch it live. That's how much I care.
I actually do care.
I really care. I'm just like, I have business to attend.
You have business to attend to. So, of note, we will not be giving any spoilers for any 5 nominated films on this podcast. You do not have to have seen any of the 5 or any specific one. Sam and I have, and we can tell you what we think of them. But if you want spoiler discussion, in-depth discussion, look for our specific podcasts on each one. Okay, so I think, so we have to make sure we don't spoil Anomalisa. I think that's the big one. That's the one out of the 5 I think you most need to not be spoiled for going into that movie. You, the audience. But yeah.
You, Sam, don't spoil this for people.
Yeah, also you, Sam, don't spoil it. Yeah. So we're going to get in. This is not a traditional podcast for us, kind of a general topic overview. So this category. By the way, overlyanimated.com is where you can find out about this podcast. Search for the Overly Animated Podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher and subscribe there. So, first thing about that I want to talk about is, first let's name the 5 films. Inside Out, Anomalisa, Shaun the Sheep Movie, Boy in the World, When Marnie Was There. I want to talk about this category because I think the natural question many people listening to this, if you have not turned it off yet, is why do you care at all about the Oscar Best Animated Feature category? Some of you may even be saying it's kind of a joke of a category. And I think heavily disagree with that and counter with not only is it not a joke, it is the most legitimate evaluation of the year's animated films released in the United States available. Now, there's not many people who try to do that, award ceremonies. The big one is the Annies. I think the Annies are clearly much less legitimate than this category.
Really?
Clearly. Because the Annies have a lot of outside factors happening. Big controversy a few years ago about how the Annies are just a shill for... I actually forget. Was it for Disney or was it for DreamWorks? I think it was for Disney.
I don't know.
One of the two. The problem is people contribute to the Annies like money, and so they sway one way or the other. Anyway, the Annies are really not a super legitimate ceremony.
You're blowing my mind here, dude.
Yeah, no, this was a whole thing. Look, like a few years ago, they look up this controversy. So that doesn't mean that this category is legitimate at all. Who votes on this category? The animation branch of the Academy. Theoretically, people in the industry who are involved in animation in some way. Mostly probably like old white men, because that's how the Oscars are. although they have taken steps to change that very recently. And you look at the winners of this category since it existed in 2001. I think the biggest triumph for the category is giving Spirited Away the win in 2002. Pretty incredible. Pretty incredible nominating Japanese films and having that one even win.
For some reason, I thought you meant like Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron.
I don't even know
That's
what is that movie. I see that we feel like
it's a horse movie.
I
I was
guess.
obsessed with that movie when I was
Really?
younger. Yeah, it was actually nominated the same year. Anyway,
Yeah, I see
Spirited
that. I'd
Away.
never seen that.
Let's watch it.
Mostly Pixar movies have won in this category. Finding Nemo, Incredibles, Ratatouille, Wall-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Brave. That's a good listing of some of the best Pixar movies. That's the thing. Like, it's not just that they're always pick a Pixar movie. Other than maybe Brave, those are the top tier Pixar movies. So, I think that
Oh my God, Happy Feet won.
yeah, I've never seen Happy Feet, but last
Monster House was good.
Rango in 2011, Happy Feet. These aren't necessarily years with some great choices, but
I mean, Jimmy Neutron was nominated, so
here's what I want to argue though about why this category is great, is because the nominations, especially in recent years, have been incredible. This year, they nominated When Marnie Was There, the final Studio Ghibli film, a movie which it's so hard to figure out how the Oscars nominated this movie. Like, I mean, the only thing that makes sense is that this is a Ghibli movie, right? So it's very high profile to, especially to the people who like me who
yeah.
obsess over Studio Ghibli. So that makes sense. But like, this is just like a super quiet, very Japanese character driven film. Like, it's not something that makes sense to get any sort of hype in this country.
And it's not like they're like required or like it's just like yeah, let's throw a Ghibli movie and they released one this year. Like they didn't nominate Arrietty or
Yeah, it's not like they nominated a ton of them.
yeah,
They
so
did nominate Princess Kaguya last year. I think that's another triumph of a nomination, honestly. When
they didn't nominate the Lego movie or Book of Life though.
yeah,
I like
a lot of people love the Lego Movie, and them not nominating it gets a lot of respect from me because I do not like that film.
I like the Lego movie
We
a
will
lot.
discuss that at some point, but boy, do I have a lot of criticisms about that movie. And not nominating that, all people got so up in arms about that. I actually think that's like a great non-nomination. IMO. This year they also nominated. Here's why I love this category. They nominate just these obscure. They consistently the last several years have nominated obscure foreign animated films over the big budget American mediocre animated films that have come out this year. Consistently across the board, they keep doing this. It's one of the only. And of course, the Oscars tend to do this. This is if you it makes sense if you think about it in terms of the Oscars overall. The Oscars nominate more artsy films than big budget films, and a big push is for them to embrace more big budget films in the best feature category overall. But like it's just in an industry where there's just a few players in the U.S. Getting traction for these foreign smaller films like Boy in the World, which we talked about this year, is this like hand drawn kind of so weird. I don't even know how to describe it. Brazilian film by this one guy, and it's kind of an incredible movie. I don't. It's not necessarily like Sam and I's favorite, but it's a pretty incredible film, and I'm pretty happy it got nominated.
Mm.
One of my favorite nominations was several years ago, The Secret of the Kells in 2009. I wouldn't have seen that film except for it got nominated, so I seeked it out, and that's one of my favorite movies. So
I've never seen that movie at all.
we could podcast on that at some point. It's just visually incredible. It's I believe by the same Irish studio that did Song of the Sea that got nominated last year, but I haven't seen that one yet, or 2 years ago, or last year, yeah. So I just
Persepolis is a good nomination that they did once.
there's a lot here, and you can even appreciate it unless you see all of them, like Cat and Parrish, Chico and Rita. I haven't seen those two in 2011. So how would you even know unless
I
you
hate Wes
mention it?
Anderson so much.
Okay.
No, I was just seeing the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
That's a solid nomination. And they nominated Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is great, and then they had Up win over it, which is also great. Like that 2009 year, that's a solid group of I've actually seen all five of those films. That's a solid
I've never seen
group.
Coraline.
You should see Coraline.
I
So,
tried to watch it once and then I was just getting bored.
that's an important film, I guess, in animation
Very important
history.
film.
Thank you. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say is this is like a legitimate category with legitimate nominations. You may disagree with some of the winners, like last year Big Hero 6. I've not actually haven't seen Big Hero 6, but I can't imagine that's anywhere close to Tale of Princess Kaguya. Like, there's no way. Kaguya is a masterpiece, and Big Hero 6 winning over it is probably completely legitimate. Again, I haven't seen it. People were up in arms at how Drain Your Dragon 2 didn't win. I don't know. That Frozen winning in 2013 seems great. I think that a lot of people are cynical about Frozen now, but that is a truly good movie.
Just oversaturation of the market.
Just oversaturation, but like you look at the core and it's very good. So like I think this is a good category. I don't think it's so simply a shell for Pixar as you might think. And I think there's a lot of legitimate critical recognition here. Also, more importantly, we just spent like 10 minutes arguing. The more important reason is that this is like a good outlet for just watching some of the best animated films of the year and talking about it here. And I want to cover this.
It's like your movie Rex for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I do think it should be noted, I don't know if anyone really cares about this category that much in the industry. I'm not sure how much it matters to people. I don't know. I'm not sure, like, the difference between Inside Out winning this year and Anomalisa upsetting it matters too much to Pixar. I don't know.
The only movie that has not that's one that wasn't Pixar since I started watching the Oscars is Rango. Amazing.
Big Hero 6 is not. I mean, those are
Disney.
Those are Disney movies. Big Hero 6 Frozen. Those are not Pixar movies.
Blah blah blah.
It is a good distinction to make. But you're right. Most of this has been Disney movies the last several years. Again, though, Disney did not own Pixar while most of these Pixar films were winning. So,
I'm that's basically me just trying to say I kind of have felt a little bit that like it is sort of like a shoe-in for Pixar or Disney, which with whatever film they decide to submit, because like maybe people in the industry don't care that much and they go for like the most recognizable.
Yeah, I mean, I think the nominations are more legitimate than the winners. I think I've clearly said that. But like, look at the Pixar movies that have won. Again, with the exception of Brave, which I do think is a good film, and I think deserved basically to win that year. Although I think I probably would have given it to Wreck-It Ralph.
Paranorman is really good.
I haven't seen Paranorman. I will say that
it's great.
Look at the Pixar films that won. They are incredible. So I don't know. They basically recognized the best Pixar films. So.
Shark Tale.
And also in 2001, Shrek winning over Monsters Inc. is a joke. Let's just say that.
No, Jimmy Neutron. Come on.
I don't know. I haven't seen. I've seen the movie, but I haven't seen it like recently enough to like,
should watch
know whether it's like actually good.
We should drunk podcast on that.
We should. That'd be a good idea. Okay, so let's talk about.
It's just not going to hold up well at all.
So let's talk about what you're going to see on Sunday night when this category is announced. So basically, this is a. There's two ways to look at it. Either one, Inside Out is going to win, which it is. Spoiler alert. Like that ruins like our entire podcast. But the other way to look at it is a 2-horse race between Inside Out and Anomalisa. Here's the thing: Anomalisa, a Charlie Kaufman film. This is like a legitimate like adult movie that's going to appeal to a lot of people voting for this category, and it hasn't necessarily received a lot of the acclaim that Inside Out has. But it's easy to envision a scenario where Anomalisa is the one that wins on Sunday.
It's sort of like maybe in another world this will be in like Best Picture category.
Both of these movies could have been nominated for Best Picture.
I wonder why they weren't.
So yeah, I do want to talk about that. Thanks for reminding me. But it's Charlie Kaufman is revered, and this is and Anomalisa is a truly great movie. So it really could win this category. Let's talk about why both Anomalisa and Inside Out were not nominated for Best Picture. So I think Anomalisa is easier to see why it wasn't. It's really weird. It's stop motion. It's not super accessible to the general voting populace. I don't think
Yeah, usually this kind of like film, especially Charlie Kaufman films, get nominated for a
screenplay and
screenplay.
not Best Picture. Yeah, there's precedent for Charlie Kaufman not making it into the Best Picture category. Um, Also, the way the Best Picture balloting system works. Hopefully, I'll have a podcast up discussing the Oscar Best Picture nominees, off-topic podcast. But it really rewards general agreements on them being good films, not necessarily polarized films like this one probably is. Um, so that one's easiest. Inside Out, not getting a Best Picture nom, was actually one of the small group of films that people thought really, really would get nominated for Best Picture. Inside Out and Carol and Straight Outta Compton were the three huge surprises not getting a Best Picture nomination.
Yeah.
And we can talk about Inside Out not getting it. Personally, I'm very okay with it. As you'll soon see, I was not in love with Inside Out. I thought it was good, not great. And I think that if it was Room that got in instead, I'm not sure how close to the edge Room was or not, but that's like miles away a better film.
Yeah, Room is like it's great.
Sam and I both agree that film's truly great, but
Yeah, it's not gonna win, but like
Sam and I both not super high on Inside Out. Would you agree with that?
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
So
it's okay.
that shouldn't be a barrier to continue listening. We're not gonna necessarily harp on that too much, but I can understand why people really like Inside Out. I think it's not as deep as people think it is, but it's I think I don't know. I'm not sure why it didn't get a Best Picture nomination. I think it's the type of film that would. Like, it's Toy Story 3 got one, right? Like,
Yeah, it's not like it's unheard of. I mean, it's happened in the past 5 years.
So it should be noted, since Toy Story 3 was nominated for Best Picture, in 2010, the rules are different. I think Toy Story 3 2010 was the first year they expanded Best Picture to more than 5 nominations. But since 2010, they have narrowed the acceptance criteria for films. So right now, Best Picture is between 5 and 10. You have to meet a certain threshold of first place votes, and you have to get a high enough ranking within the overall vote total. And it has narrowed since then. So it is harder for films to get nominated for Best Picture now than it was 5-6 years ago. So it is possible that if Inside Out were out in 2010, it would have gotten the nomination, basically. Inside, no one cares about that. Best Picture voting tendency changes, but yeah. So it's not. I mean, it was on the border. I think it probably had general acclaim, but people were ranking things higher than it. It's also like, if you just want to look at general things, like it came out in whatever May, June, right? It had time for the hype to die down. Oscar films generally want to come out at the end of the year. I don't know. It's. I think that personally, one of the barriers to entry to me is the personified emotions seem fairly childish and are fairly shallow throughout the film. I think that
I agree.
That might have been a thing that best Oscar voters also thought. So there you go. It would have been nice. I would have. I mean, it's like, on one hand, I would have liked Inside Out to get the Best Picture nomination to continue to promote the legitimacy of animated films. On the other hand, I don't think it's the best animation has to offer, so I don't necessarily want it to be what people think of as the best animation. A film like Anomalisa, on the other hand, represents where I want American animated films to go. More explore doing things that live action films can't do, more adult content, more just really intelligent, great storytelling. So I would have been thrilled with an Anomalisa Best Picture nomination, on the other hand.
But that didn't happen.
But it didn't happen, and it was never going to happen. So let's talk about this category. So like I said, Inside Out will probably win, but Anomalisa could win. I think there's probably enough people voting in this category that Charlie Kaufman fans cannot get Anomalisa to the top, but that's probably what you'll see. So let's talk about these films in order of likelihood to win Best Pictures. And we're not going to spoil them. We're going to give a general overview and each give our thoughts. So let's start with Inside Out. We basically already talked about this, but
yeah,
big hype for this movie this year. Considered like a return to form for Pixar.
What if feelings had feelings?
The concept initially kind of a turn off for a lot of people, but it really was a lot deeper than kind of initially thought the concept would indicate. Kind of exploring mental illness and just generally like people's insides in a way that a lot of people don't think about. Um, like I said, my feelings on this movie are that it's not as deep as a lot of people think. I think that Mel, you can check out Mel and I's podcast on this. Mel represents the opposite perspective. I think that as a film about mental illness, there are two better ones in this category. So it's really not what people think it is in that regard. As a film that it encourages people to self-reflect on their mental state and like how their brain works, I think it's good. But I also think that for me, as someone who frequently does that, this was um, to me, I've as at my most cynical, I describe Inside Out as a film about like mental illness and the inner workings of the mind for people who never think about those type of things,
Sure.
which is a little bit insulting to people who like the film. But like I said, that's my cynical perspective of it. Do you agree with me that this
But
doesn't
like
have,
psychology 101.
it's like psychology 101? I know, and it's
For
true.
babies.
For psychology babies, a lot of people really don't think about how they think. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. So it's I can understand why a lot of people would react to it, and I'm happy they did. But at the same time, I just didn't think anything it's saying was super revolutionary or deep at all. Would you agree with that?
I agree. Yeah. Um I don't know. It's like what you said, it's like a Pixar Return to Form. It's like Toy Story, but with feelings.
A return to form and quality.
Toy Story, but with feelings.
I'm
Bas-
fine. I'm fine with this being seen as a Pixar return to form because this is the type of film you want Pixar to produce: original content, super interesting, doing things you couldn't do. Like that is this movie is an example of doing things you can't do in live action. Speaking of what I said about Anomalisa, so I'm fine with people loving it. Like there's a lot to like about it. Just personally not super high on it.
So
Also, its narrative is really stale.
I just had a thought, like, what if this was live action? Just like people dressing up in like the costumes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's
Ah,
impossible. Yeah.
that's funny.
I guess you'd CGI the emotions, right?
Well, you could always just put people in costumes.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen this art student? They took out all of the emotion scenes from the movie, so it's just the plot, like
Yeah. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the Riley stuff.
I did love the Riley stuff, and I love Riley as a character. So
And it ended up only being like 15 minutes of the
yeah,
movie.
it was not a large part of the movie. It should be noted, Inside Out, a fairly feminist film. The three main characters are female, and even though personified emotions having gender is dumb, constant theme about us talking about Shaun the Sheep too.
She plays hockey.
I love that Riley plays hockey. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's things I like about it. It's I do like the film overall.
Yeah.
Uh, 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 it's gonna be an unexciting win when it does win, but I will choose to think of it as a win for female driven films and a win for films that actually explore psychology and like the inner workings of minds.
Agree.
So that's the way to look at it, even if it's a film with a really stale narrative. Okay, let's talk about Anomalisa. This is a film you probably have not seen. It is a stop motion film by Charlie Kaufman and Duke Johnson also. Um, this is a film Sam and I podcast on. You can check out about it. Uh, Basically, a summary of our thoughts. I absolutely love this film, and Sam also likes it, but probably doesn't love it as much as me.
I don't love anything as much as you.
That's not true.
Okay.
You gave in already? Okay. I
Well,
didn't. I
I
didn't
mean,
even have to
it's
provide
true.
an example.
I mean, it's true. I wasn't like that high on this film.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like,
So pick one: Anomalisa or Inside Out.
oh, God. Can I go with neither?
But like, which would you rather see win? I think you'd probably rather see Anomalisa win.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah,
Um,
it'd be
to
more of
be
like
in a
a
perfect world, Marnie would win, but
yeah.
that's not gonna happen.
It'd be more. It's more of an outside the box pick. It's more of it represents more good, I think, overall to the industry.
It's like the Persepolis of
The only
this.
problem is Anomalisa is a very male perspective film, and Inside Out is
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
that's the
Yeah.
only big problem. So let's talk about Anomalisa. Anomalisa is it's hard to talk too much about it without spoilers. It has an incredibly creative narrative device, which is probably my favorite narrative device of the whole year of any film. It's kind of this very cynical film from a very Charlie Kaufman perspective, looking at how the world works, the monotony of the world. It explores mental illness in a way I cannot elaborate on without spoilers, and it's just it's like cynical in a way that seems like revolutionarily honest if you're not like cynical about cynical things.
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, yeah, the
Spoilers.
location of the film. Basically, I think the film's incredible. It's one of my favorites of the year, and it's probably my favorite of this category. Although I also love Marnie was there when Marnie was there. They're my top two for sure. I love that this film got nominated. I would have liked more recognition from it overall from the Academy, but a win in this category would be great. This is the we should say this is an adult film. It's very like rated R or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like cerebral. It's like hard to conceptualize. It's just so much stuff, and like makes you think. It's changes your perspective on things, and I'd recommend it to people who that type of thing sounds appealing to. And I just think it's really great.
I go to art school.
You do.
I don't know. Yeah, I do. I don't. I feel like with this type of movie, like I like not necessarily that I've seen it before, but it's like I don't know. Like a lot of the cleverness is like, well, I kind of have seen some of it before. Like
Yeah, I agree. There's like a lot of like the cynicism of the world, the monotony world type of stuff you might see in other like type of like edgy type of works.
edgy.
I think this film
That's
is definitely edgy,
yeah, like Sam.
like Sam.
I'm
So
not
why don't
edgy
you're an edgy person? Why don't you like this edgy film?
because it's like entry level edgy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, I think I could understand in certain ways it's seeming entry level edgy. I think that in terms of like its perspective on like when it gets into mental illness type stuff, I would not characterize that as entry level edgy.
I don't know. Basically, it's the strongest parallel to this movie is like what in terms of another movie is Lost in Translation, which I know you haven't seen. Um, or maybe you
I
have.
mean,
I'm
I
not
can't
sure.
imagine. I like my perception of Lost in Translation is not an edgy film. Is not an edgy film. Like I don't
It was super edgy, Dylan.
like it. Didn't it win Best Picture that year? I don't know. No, it didn't.
I think it won like maybe screenplay, but
Wasn't it nominated for Best Picture?
I think it was.
Okay.
I mean, edgy, Lost in Translation, like Sofia Coppola, like, it's like hipster
Yeah, I
movie.
like
You know what I mean?
I really think Charlie Kaufman is like way more edgy than Sofia Coppola.
Smarter than your average hipster.
I would say more edgy than hipster. Anyway, this film's kind of a it's like a big deal for people like me who want to see more out of the animation industry in this country, um, and I would definitely recommend seeing it if
It did win screenplay, by the way.
okay, was it nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, uh, yeah, this that's what I mean. Like this film's way too edgy to be nominated for Best Picture, as we said. So therefore, it's more edgy.
That's way too edgy.
Okay, so again, Anomalisa could play spoiler to Inside Out on Oscar night. It's really it's I would say 85% Inside Out, 15% Anomalisa are your odds going into Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's don't take it for a given in your Oscar pool, but it's Inside Out a heavy favorite. Okay,
Dylan, do you want to do an Oscar pool?
it's I guess I don't know. I follow it fairly closely all
Okay.
the categories. So I would crush you.
You'd probably
I would crush you is what I'm saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. There's
So in the order of speaking of which, the order in which we're going in, I'm going to be following the order on Variety's In Contention blog about ranking the all the categories on their chances to win. This blog is run by Christopher Tapley. It was previously on HitFix and migrated to Variety this year, and I think it is a very good blog for Oscar prognostication. Third on his list is Shaun the Sheep movie. I actually,
Why?
in terms of likelihood to win. So basically, the next three films, not in terms of quality, in terms of likelihood to win. Basically, I think these next three films each have a 0% chance to win. But I would say I actually do think Marnie has a slightly better chance to win than the other two. But like I think he did not predict Marnie to get nominated, and I think that he's been underrating that film's chances the whole time because I do think the animation branch makes unconventional choices on a consistent basis. So let's talk about Shaun the Sheep movie. Sam and I just podcasted on this.
Uh,
Um, Sam and I both don't think this movie is very good.
yeah, it's
So it's
uh,
a Wallace and Gromit spin-off. It's a stop motion animated film. Um, it's about it's light on narrative, light on characterization, kind of a stereotypical aimed at children, jokes for adults type film.
yeah. If you've seen like any like quote unquote like children's movie in the past 10, 15, 20 years, like Barnyard, Chicken Run, Babe, like it's basically that.
I kind of so I'm gonna actually rant about this for a second. I kind of hate that this film is in this category. So this category contains two films about mental illness, one of which is about kind of just this bleak perspective on the world and is rated R. It contains one film whose centerpiece is a girl-girl romance, which is also about mental illness. We'll talk about it in a second. And it's just gorgeous. The animated. It contains another film that is gorgeous, and is a super cynical take on industrialism and capitalism, and is super fight the power. And then there's Shaun the Sheep movie, which makes no statements whatsoever on the.
uh,
It just dilutes the category. It shouldn't be here. It stands out as nothing.
Sheep are people too.
No, they're not.
That's what the message of Shaun the Sheep movie is.
I can't think of anything that this contributes in terms of a uh,
Like a nuance,
like a nuanced perspective on anything.
what does nuance even mean? I just use that word
It
without knowing
means
what it
nuanced,
means. I'm looking it up.
like distinctive, unique, like or not unique in like a clearly defined way or whatever. I
All
don't know if
right,
that's a good definition or not, but
nuance.
like it has it means nuanced. I don't know. That's like the type of word I would use in its definition. Anyway, um, I think Shaun the Sheep movie is belongs in that it's slightly clever. It makes references to a lot of stuff. It has some funny moments. In terms of narrative and characterization, there's basically none. In terms of engagement from its audience, it's not engaging. It's not that it's terrible. It's okay, but in terms compared to these other movies, nope.
I mean, it's not the worst way to spend like an hour and a half of your life, but there are probably better ways.
And more than that, Sam and I struggled to get even 15 minutes of discussion on this film without getting to other topics. There's really just nothing to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie.
It has. I don't want to say it has no value, because like a lot of people work hard on it. A lot of people are gonna. It's. I mean, it's made $100 million. A lot of people took a lot of enjoyment out of it, and enjoyment is value in its own right. I do believe that. But we're trying to look at things from kind of
Howdy.
a haughty intellectual perspective, and clearly from that perspective, Shaun the Sheep movie does not hold up.
I mean, from my like personal like critiquing perspective, like being an art student and stuff, it's like I don't really like work that I can't really like latch onto on an emotional level.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, that's just me. Like, I like work that like has more or less like I don't want to say like this movie is soulless, but like I like work and
there's not much
movies and
beyond
stuff.
like the pleasant uh, top layer of the film.
Yeah, like I like stuff that has like a little bit of grit to it,
Yeah.
like has a realness and like something like not necessarily pain, but like there's something there to like get my attention instead of just
Some sort of meaning, some sort of distinctiveness.
yeah, like not another still life,
Mm.
which this movie is like a still life painting. It's
Harsh to still lifes.
It's definitely a painting. Maybe it's like a Matisse. I don't remember if he did still lifes, but it's like it's a good still life, but it's a still life and then all the same. Van Gogh still life, flowers. I'm just talking and you're not stopping me.
Nope. Just want to see how long this will go on for.
I don't know. Now I have to look at Matisse because I don't remember if he actually did still
Yeah.
lifes.
Anyway, I think nailed the point down. Not big fans of it. That being said,
He didn't. No, I'm thinking of Cezanne. Yeah, Cezanne. Anyway, still lives. There are things, and this movie is that in movie form, and yeah, I mean it belongs in a museum, but that's a good thing. I mean, so the people who made this are like famous, not like famous, but like well respected. They've had like accolades like
yeah.
upon them previous works. So their names become like a big deal, and then you know once artists die and stuff, their value and their work like goes up. So people are going to pay like millions of dollars for like a Van Gogh, uh, no matter what, like if it's one of his self portraits or if it's one of his like
So you're
worship.
saying Curse of the Were Rabbit won this category
Yes,
in 2005 and super critically acclaimed, and now people are just assuming that this is another great work by the similar people.
maybe yes.
Yeah, I mean,
That's how my mind
I'd
works.
like to give some credit to the critics who gave this a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't see it, but I'd like to think that they find value in this on its own. This is the only film out of these five which I would say is a kids movie, and I hate that. I hate characterizing animated films as kids movies, but this really is a kids movie.
Jimmy
I
Neutron.
wouldn't have said Jimmy Neutron's a kids movie. I think it has narrative value in its own right. So
I'll watch that now.
nope. We're gonna talk about Boy in the World. It's like actually like a 2013 film by Ali Abreu.
Yeah. Didn't we check the
It is eligible for some obscure reason. It is eligible this year. Uh, as a Brazilian film, it is no dialogue, much like Shaun the Sheep, but neither have dialogue.
That's true.
Boy in the World. I'd recommend you seeing it. I don't think this movie's great. I don't think either of us thought it was like incredible. I do wonder whether you thought it was better than Anomalisa and Inside Out because you're not super high on any of the three of them.
I mean,
Start to think about that because we're gonna have to rank them at the end of this. But
yeah.
this film is it's like this super gorgeous hand drawn. I don't even know if it's hand drawn, but it looks like it's like stick figures. And like it's like starts like a simple stick figure and expands into this giant colorful world. It's for most of the film it's kind of boring. I will say that, but towards the end, it becomes kind of this incredible industrialism capitalism critique, and I love it. At the end, it's so funny that this movie that starts with stick figures turns into just this biting capitalist critique. Right? It's there's one section where it's not even animation anymore, and they just show clips of like live action stuff happening, and it's kind of wonderful.
Deforestation.
It's like all these terrible products of industrialism, right? And yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, like I said, I don't think it's great, but I love that it's nominated. I think it's distinctive. I think it's interesting, and it deserves to be seen. I think.
I feel like this is a movie to see in a theater, if or like just any really
And
like
that's
dark.
not really helpful advice because you can't see it in a theater anymore.
Well, okay, let's. All right, so a theater like setting, so without like your computer or your phone, just like focusing on,
Yeah, I did play it on a fairly big TV. It was
or like even like a clock,
a clock.
so you can like get lost into it because I feel like this movie is more of an experience than it is a.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to pin down a narrative here, but
Yeah.
it's definitely an experiential film. Yeah.
But I don't think I think if you're like distracted by something else, like in the beginning, you're not gonna be able to like get into it.
You really do have to try to get into it because it's a little bit rough in the beginning, but you have to tough it out and you have to keep watching. It will pay off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
both of us are pretty high on it, but neither. I do agree that it's not wonderful. It's just
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
Yeah, I got a little bit of.
But yeah, I'm so happy this movie's animated. It's so weird. It's like this weird 2-year-old Brazilian film that just nobody saw. Like just
Yeah, apparently it was like a documentary.
like started as a documentary. I haven't heard from one person who listened to our Boy in the World podcast and had actually seen the film. Like I'm pretty sure zero people listening to this have seen the film. And I just it's like yeah, promote this. This film has things to say. It has a ton of value, and I love that it's nominated.
It's an art
It is.
piece.
It is really. It is the most of these. I would say this is an art piece, and like Anomalisa. Those are the two ones that I would describe as kind of art
Down with the
pieces.
bourgeoisie.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yep. Capitalism is bad. Industrialization, end it.
I mean, you could make an argument that it's not anti-capitalist, just anti-industrialist, but whatever. Hard to
Well,
distinguish.
well, I don't know. I think industrialization sort of like breeds capitalism.
I would say that the movie is also anti-capitalist, but that's also
I
maybe
don't know. They both like play into each other.
that's maybe me wanting to see that a little bit in the movie too.
Like because like society became capitalist, we like made more machines so that we can get more product.
I do think it's much more anti-industrialist than capitalist.
But
Anyway.
I don't know.
By the
They
way, if
play.
you start watching the beginning of the movie and think back to me and Sam's conversation about this, it will make no sense. Believe me, it pays off. Okay. Our last but not least is Sam and I's darling when Marnie was there.
My darling, my little China doll.
I feel the most affection to, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
This is a 20 when was this released in Japan? 2014. The final film by Studio Ghibli. About this girl, this 12-year-old girl Anna, and this girl she meets Marnie, and their subsequent deep bonds and romance in rural Japan. If you hear descriptions of this film, you may not hear it talked about as a lesbian romance, but it is.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very gay.
It is the best lesbian romance film that is out. That was nominated for any Oscars this year. Much better than Carol.
Yeah,
Much.
Carol was. We should do an off-topic podcast on Carol.
Sam and I mean, I thought Carol was good, but like when Marnie was there, is much better.
Yeah, I agree.
This is a film that much like Boy in the World is a little bit light on narrative, but unlike Boy in the World, it is a deep character piece. This is definitely a character piece about Anna and Marnie, and
I mean, they're holding hands in the poster.
like seriously, this is the type of like gay erasure that you hear about on Tumblr, but if you're cynical, you're like, oh, what? That doesn't exist. This is a gay romance film, and no one talks about it as that. Like, what else are you supposed to say? It's the clearest example. You should see it. You should interpret it romantically because that's what it is. This movie's narrative, when it occurs, is weird. The end of the movie has like narrative twists, and it's weird. But I don't think it matters too much because I think it's a character piece. Like I think that this is the third film about mental illness in this category. Again, this is not, you won't understand if you watch it, but Anna is sent to the countryside because she is depressed, and even though the film does not say that, that's just like how it is. And
I
it's
thought you had asthma.
yeah, that which is Japanese code for
Depressed.
mental illness. No, seriously, like that's their culture. They don't talk about mental illness, so you call it asthma. And she's sent to the countryside to like try to get better or whatever. And it's about her dealing with like her depression, her loneliness, and finding a companion and developing feelings for her. It's incredibly gorgeous. The two characters are wonderful. The animation is wonderful. The direction is wonderful. It's just really incredible film.
It's a lovely movie.
It really is.
The dub was okay.
I have not seen the dub. I do still want to see it.
Last time I watched it, I watched the dub. It was okay.
I want to see it because the two main leads voiced by people I know, so that's cool. And I do think that this movie would probably not work as well in English because it's just very Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, it basically just sounded like they read off the English subs.
Which is the best way to go, I guess.
Like given our little thing that we did the other night. Never mind.
I don't know what you're talking about, but okay.
We were playing Danganronpa.
Oh yeah. Like it's you're saying it's like a typical good dub or whatever. It's like a straight. It's like you.
Well, I don't like. Oh, good doesn't necessarily like correlate with like straight, like true to.
It's yeah. It's sometimes the best dubs are ones that make adjustments based
I agree.
on cultural expectation. I think that if you do that for certain types of films like this one, it'll lose a lot of meaning. So I think you need to be careful with that. We love this film. It's not going to win the category. I love that it's nominated. I'm very thankful that it's nominated. This was the biggest thing that I was happy about on Oscar nomination day, and it's. I also think this one's going to hold up, and this is going to be, like, I do think I'm going to like watch this 20 years from now and still like really love it.
You'll be crying on your couch. And you'll call me like Sam,
Yeah,
Marty, and I'll
Barney,
be
and you'll be
like,
like,
I
I
haven't talked to you in like 10 years. Come on,
no, 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 no,
click.
no. We'll be doing the 20-year anniversary podcast. Ha 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 ha. Okay, let's start with this category overall. So I kind of want to talk about that mental illness thread connecting three of the films in this movie, but I'm going to write an article on that probably. And well, let's rank the five films based on how much you enjoyed them. We told you what's going to win. This is basically only Sam and I's personal enjoyment. Do you want me to go first or you?
You go first.
Okay, so it's I know Melissa and When Marnie was there a close 1 and 2 for me. I'll put see, I think I have a No Melissa 1 in my rankings, but I mean I don't know. I haven't seen Marnie in a while. We can go No Melissa and Marnie tied for 1. 3 is Boy in the World. 4 is Inside Out, and then a distant 5 is Shaun the Sheep movie.
Okay. I'm gonna go. 1 is Marnie. 2, I guess Anomalisa. 3, Inside Out. 4, Boy in the World, and 5, Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um I think this is a super strong category. I think there's two truly greats, two that bring a lot to the table and that are also good, and then there's Shaun the Sheep movie as well.
Yeah. And there's Shaun the Sheep. He was a sheep, all right.
So, in talking about legitimacy of the category this year, and this might be a retreading of an article I published at some point with this next week, is uh, you have 8 films nominated for Best Picture, none of which touch mental illness at all. And then you have this Best Animated Feature category where you'd expect films made for children, but where in actuality you have 2 films that deeply and clearly discuss mental illness, and then one that subtly does as well. 3 out of 5 in this category are in some form about mental illness. Meanwhile, you won't find any other movies nominated for any category that discuss it in any form. If you want, how could you say that animation in its current state is not legitimate or making deep critiques or making deep points and like themes? How could you say this? Inside Out kind of subtly touches the inner workings. Of course, it touches the inner workings of the mind, subtly touches depression a lot. And just more overall, it talks about how not even children and young people are not necessarily just okay, and is that everyone should be introspective. Everyone should be like, it shouldn't be a given that people of any age are like fine just mentally, and you should ignore that, right? Inside Out definitely makes that point, and it makes subtle points about how depression is related to all of our emotions. Anomalies talks about how mental illness shapes our perspective of the world and how it can consume our perspective, influence it, and really just affect things. And I mean, even outside of that, what I love, one part I love about it is that it's points about the cynicism and mundane parts of our society and world are kind of independent of any character's mental illness that eventually emerge in the film. It makes points about how it can negatively affect us, and also about how, despite that, you can still have legitimate perspectives. When Marnie was there is the most subtle of them all, touching on, again, much like Inside Out, how even young people can deal with depression, can deal with mental illness, and Marnie is really a story about how we can overcome things about us even through just the bonds of other people. Maybe it's not even about winning or treating. It can just be about living life and finding ways to live life with the realities of how we are.
Oh,
And I really do think that's what this movie is saying when Marnie is there.
that's really nice. Thank you for saying that's fun.
It's I know I really do think that's what the movie's saying. It's like it's
Yeah, I mean, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm
I
like being
know.
genuine.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't think I'm saying it. I guess is my analysis of it. Um, it's like it's so hard to to analyze it from that perspective. But Anna's just because they never really say it explicitly in the film. But Anna is like it's she coping with the realities of life. Sometimes it's just a reality. It's not something that like has to be fought. It's just the way things are, and you can overcome it with
Yeah, not everything is a battle.
not
Everything
every,
is.
and I think all three films. There's no treatment involved in any of these.
Yeah.
It's just about living life through that. It's just a reality, and Marnie is the most explicit of that all, finding comfort in the realities of life through friendship and love,
Oh.
and just and even the gorgeousness of the world too, and something else Anna really appreciates in the film, and just finding activities that have meaning to you. Anna loves painting, I think, as well in the film. Like it's just it's I think that's my favorite of them all in terms of uh the commentary on mental states and how they relate to like perspectives on life and stuff like that. And I think like we have three of some of my favorite like portrayals of this, all in animated films, all kind of shoved away into this as what a lot of people would see as an auxiliary category. And I think we should really just embrace the messages of them. We should treat animated films more legitimately. We should treat kind of mental illness and like uh, just I don't know. I've been struggling to find a word for this all topic, not just like illness, but just like mentality. Like treat it as more of a legitimate topic to be shut in the open. And I think Inside Out was a big step towards that. And I think that more of the Best Picture film should have reflected that.
Yeah. I'm looking at the best picture nods, and it's like, wow.
You could argue Room has a lot of this as well.
I think Room.
Room, I think, does deal with this topic, so maybe I
Yeah.
would like to retract a little bit, but it's more of a direct trauma type thing.
I don't know, I think Room is actually the only one I've seen on this. But given from like I don't know, just reading about what a lot of these movies are about, just like
A lot
a
of them
lot
are
of
straight dramas about factual
the
things.
dramas are like boring. Like, oh, I was like,
And again, hopefully I'll have a podcast up talking about all eight of them because I've seen all eight, and they're great movies in their own right. But you have films in there like The Revenant um, and Mad Max, which contain very little to no narrative. Meanwhile, you have three deep narratives about kind of topics that society often doesn't like to put out in the open in this category. And you have Revenant, Mad Max, Big Short. Like it's I don't. These are not deep narrative films. But yeah, this category is important. The films in this category are important on that level, just on a straight like quality perspective. And check them out if you have not. These ones that we talked about, maybe this will get you to watch Marnie at least. And I think watching Marnie, I feel like is the type of film maybe you should be primed on. Like I feel like Anomalisa, I've said too much, and you should just go in blind. Marnie, like understanding that that's what asthma means, and that like yes, this is a
yeah,
real
I didn't
illness.
know that's what asthma meant. I thought she was legitimately having an asthma attack.
I mean, it's not neither of these two things I'm saying. If you went and asked the people who made the film, they would be like, yes. Like it's like hidden enough that that like
Hey, Miyazaki, what's asthma?
well he's not he did not yeah
I'm trying to connect to the viewers,
he's not the one that made this film, but yeah.
Dylan.
Okay. Um, I think that covered everything that I want to talk about here. A lot of other thoughts, Sam, on the category. Anything we've talked about here at all?
Well, I don't know. It'll sure be interesting.
Will it?
Like, I don't know, I guess.
I mean, Inside Out's gonna win, but that's not the point of this podcast.
It's just like, I'm blanking on what other animated movies came out. And so I want to, like, compare the competition. to like what got nominated and what didn't.
Minions did not get nominated, thankfully.
Whoa.
Did I see any others that aren't on this list? Nope. Those are the ones I saw.
Actually, Wikipedia should be able to tell me. But yeah,
Oh no, also Good Dinosaur did not get nominated.
I didn't see that.
That is a film that I'm happy did not get nominated. So, congrats to them.
There's some Batman movies. Where's the Dragon?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a thing apparently. Oh, the SpongeBob movie didn't get nominated.
I forgot that happens.
Sponge out of water. Nope, that didn't get nominated. Neither did the newest Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda came out this year though.
No, apparently it came out this year.
Kung Fu Panda 2?
Oh no, that's a short.
Oh,
Never
it's a
mind.
short, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. All these sound like duds.
The big ones got the nominations, so that's good.
The Flintstones and WWE Stone Age SmackDown.
Oh, the Peanuts movie didn't get nominated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I like the Peanuts.
I assume it would have been better than Sean, so, you know. Okay. I'm Dylan Hysen, that's Sam Quattro. Find out everything about this podcast at Overly Animated. Subscribe to us if you're listening on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. Otherwise, subscribe to us on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher, Overly Animated Podcast. Search for it there. You can support us on patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to our current patrons, Shayna, Mitch, Cordell, Nate, Beatrice, Andy, Jamie, and Rachel, a.k.a. Hannah, Fever Mitch, Cordell University, Beach Exchange, Buzz Lightyear, Mailman, and Rachel Rose. Trying to think. I mean, we're recording this a few days before I'm going to publish it. We recorded this right after Shaun the Sheep.
Don't tell them our secrets.
So yeah, I'm not sure what's next because I don't know the schedule. But yeah, Oscars on Sunday. Look out for other Oscar coverage. Maybe my article on this, maybe a podcast on the Best Picture nominees on overlyanimated.com. Let me know what you thought of our discussion here. And cool. Good, yeah. Sam?
Good. I'm just trying to figure out why the voice of Charlie Brown isn't listed first on Wikipedia for the voice acting cast of the Peanuts movie. Anyway.
I cannot contribute to that, so.
Neither can I. Yeah, animated movies. They're things. They're important.
Yep. There you go. Thanks for listening, guys. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.